If your joints have been hurting for years, you are making one mistake right now that is destroying them every single day. And the most dangerous part, you do not even understand what exactly it is. In 5 minutes, you will find out what is killing your joints. You think pills are your only option, but I am a doctor, and I have seen hundreds of people who spent years swallowing painkillers and anti-inflammatory drugs and destroyed their stomach, kidneys, and liver when they could have used something that costs almost nothing and sits right in their kitchen. Today, I'm going to tell you about 8 remedies that people have used to treat joints for thousands of years, not because it is trendy, but because it works, and because science now confirms it. Stay until the end. The last remedy will surprise you more than anything. The first remedy is turmeric. Turmeric is the yellow spice you have probably seen in your kitchen and assumed it was only there for color in cooking. But that is not the case at all. In India, turmeric has been used as medicine for over 4,000 years. Ayurvedic medicine, the oldest medical system in the world, included turmeric in the treatment of joint pain, inflammation, and wounds long before the first pharmacies ever existed. In traditional Chinese medicine, turmeric was used for arthritis beginning around the 7th century of our era. The ancient Egyptians used it as a dye and medicine. Traces of turmeric have been found in mummies dated to approximately 1,000 years before our era. The active substance in turmeric is curcumin. And here is what is important. In 2012, the journal Phytotherapy Research published a clinical study involving patients with rheumatoid arthritis. One group took 500 milligrams of curcumin per day. The other group took 50 milligrams of diclofenac sodium, one of the most popular anti-inflammatory drugs prescribed by doctors around the world. The result shocked the researchers. The curcumin group showed the highest percentage of improvement, more than the diclofenac group, and without a single side effect on the stomach or kidneys. The mechanism works like this. Curcumin suppresses the production of inflammatory cytokines. These are special proteins that trigger and sustain the inflammatory process in the joints. In simpler terms, curcumin blocks the signals of inflammation at the cellular level. How to take turmeric for your joints? Here's the main secret that almost nobody knows. Curcumin is poorly absorbed on its own, but if you add black pepper, absorption increases by 20 times. Black pepper contains a substance called piperine, which opens the cells to curcumin. So here's the recipe. Take 1 teaspoon of turmeric, add a pinch of black pepper, and 1 tablespoon of unrefined olive oil. Fat also improves absorption. Mix everything into a glass of warm milk or water. Drink once a day, preferably in the morning. The course is 3 months. That is how long it takes for most people to notice a real reduction in pain and stiffness in their joints. One warning. Turmeric is not recommended for gallstone disease and in large doses during pregnancy. The next remedy is bay leaf. Everyone knows this remedy, but almost nobody uses it correctly. And it is not just a seasoning for soup. The noble laurel has a medical history that goes back thousands of years. Avicenna, who lived in the 10th and 11th centuries, was among the first to describe the use of bay leaves specifically for treating joints. The ancient Greek physician Galen, who lived in the 2nd century of our era, recommended bay leaf tea for kidney and urinary tract diseases. Hippocrates used bay laurel oil for cramps and muscle spasms. In ancient Rome, laurel wreaths were not only a symbol of glory, the Romans also boiled laurel branches and used the steam to treat aching limbs. What is the power of bay leaf for joints? It contains tannins, flavonoids, essential oils, and organic acids. Together, they provide anti-inflammatory effects, help remove salt deposits from joints, and improve metabolism in cartilage tissue. Folk healers said that bay leaf broth washes the salts out of the joints, and this figurative expression has a real basis. Laurel enhances the excretion of uric acid through the kidneys, and it is precisely the accumulation of uric acid that causes gouty arthritis, one of the most painful joint diseases known to medicine. Here is the recipe that has been passed down through generations. Take 5 grams of dry bay leaves. That is approximately 15 to 20 medium-sized leaves. Cover with 300 milliliters of water. Bring to a boil and simmer on low heat for 5 minutes. Then pour into a thermos and let steep for 3 hours. Strain. Drink the resulting broth throughout the day in small sips, not all at once. Do this for 3 consecutive days, then take a 3-week break, then repeat. Many people notice a reduction in pain and joint cracking after just the first course. Important warning: do not drink bay leaf broth during pregnancy, in acute kidney disease, or if you are prone to constipation. The next remedy is gelatin. And here many people make a big mistake by dismissing this advice as nonsense. The history of using gelatin to treat joints is not as ancient as some of the other remedies I am telling you about, but it is serious enough. Gelatin is obtained from the bones and cartilage of animals by boiling. It is essentially concentrated collagen. Collagen is the main structural protein of cartilage tissue. With age, the body's own collagen production decreases by approximately 1% per year, starting at age 25. By age 60, a person has lost 1/3 of their collagen, which is exactly why joints begin to ache, crack, and wear out faster. What does science say? Studies have shown that gelatin contains the amino acids glycine and proline, which are the building blocks of cartilage. Several clinical studies have recorded that regular intake of hydrolyzed collagen, and gelatin as its food form, reduces joint pain and improves their mobility in people with osteoarthritis. Gelatin does not restore already destroyed cartilage, but as prevention and support in the early stages of arthrosis. It is a genuinely effective and accessible tool for everyone. How to take gelatin? The simplest method is this. In the evening, pour 1 teaspoon of food-grade gelatin over half a glass of cold water. Leave it to swell overnight. In the morning, add a little warm water or juice so the gelatin dissolves completely, and drink on an empty stomach. Do this every day in courses of 3 months with a 1-month break. Contraindications. Gelatin is not recommended for gallstone disease, a tendency toward blood clots, and oxalate kidney stones. Now let us talk about horseradish. This is a folk remedy that is unjustly forgotten. Common horseradish has been used in Russian folk medicine for the treatment of rheumatism, sciatica, and arthritis for several hundred years. In folk herbals from the 18th century, horseradish is described as a warming and stimulating remedy. In German folk medicine, horseradish was also used for gout and rheumatism. This is documented in European pharmacopoeias of the 19th century. In Poland and Ukraine, Horseradish compresses were a standard home treatment for joint pain passed down through every family from hand to hand. The active substances in horseradish, mustard oils, and isothiocyanates, when applied to the skin, cause local irritation and increased blood circulation in the underlying tissues. This means more blood flows to the aching joint. Tissue nutrition improves. Stagnation and swelling are reduced. The anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties from horseradish have been confirmed in laboratory studies. Here is the compress recipe that our great-grandfathers used. Grate fresh horseradish root on a coarse grater. Warm the grated mass slightly on a water bath. Warm, not hot. Wrap in clean cheesecloth and apply to the painful joint. Cover with plastic wrap and a warm woolen scarf for insulation. Hold for 20 to 30 minutes. Do this compress every other day for a 2-week course. You will feel a burning sensation. This is normal and means the remedy is working. If the burning becomes too intense, remove the compress earlier. Important, do not use a horseradish compress on damaged or irritated skin. Now let me tell you about pine buds and conifer baths. In Scandinavia, Russia, and Germany, pine baths and pine bud compresses have been used to treat rheumatism and joint pain for several centuries. In German sanatoriums, conifer baths were officially included in treatment programs for musculoskeletal diseases as far back as the 19th century. In Russia, pine buds were collected in spring and boiled into broths. This is documented in folk herbals from the Perm and Vyatka provinces in the 17th and 18th centuries. In Finland, the practice of bathing in pine-infused water was considered just as important as the sauna itself for maintaining joint health through long, harsh winters. Pine buds contain resinous substances, essential oils, pinene, borneol, and other terpenes. When they act on the skin, they penetrate the underlying tissues, cause the expansion of small blood vessels, increase blood flow, and have anti-inflammatory effects. That is exactly why, after a pine bath, joints literally begin to move more freely. How to make a pine bath at home. Take 500 grams of fresh or dried pine branches with needles or pine buds. Cover with 3 liters of water, bring to a boil and simmer for 20 minutes. Let steep for 1 hour. Strain. Add this concentrated broth to a bath with warm water at a temperature of 37 to 38 degrees Celsius. Stay in the bath for 20 minutes. Do this 2 to 3 times per week for a 1-month course. If a full bath is not possible, make local foot or hand baths with the same broth for the joints of the feet or hands. Contraindications. Pine baths are not recommended for hypertension, acute stage heart disease, and skin allergies. Now let us talk about apple cider vinegar. This remedy has gained enormous popularity in recent years, and not without reason. Apple cider vinegar has been used in folk medicine for over 2,000 years. Hippocrates in the 5th century before our era used vinegar with honey, a mixture called oxymel, for treating pain, coughs, and cleansing the body. In American folk medicine of the 19th and early 20th centuries, apple cider vinegar was widely used for arthritis, especially in rural New England, where it was found in almost every household. In Japan, rice vinegar was used similarly in traditional medicine for joint stiffness and inflammation for centuries. Apple cider vinegar contains organic acids, primarily acetic, malic, and citric, as well as potassium, magnesium, pectin, and antioxidants. It is believed that regular consumption of apple cider vinegar helps dissolve and remove salt deposits and uric acid crystals from the joints, precisely those deposits that cause pain and cracking. Strict clinical evidence is still limited, but thousands of people around the world report improvement in their joint condition with regular use. Here is how to take it correctly. Dissolve 1 to 2 teaspoons of natural apple cider vinegar. It must be unfiltered with sediment in a glass of warm water. Add 1 teaspoon of honey. Drink in the morning on an empty stomach 30 minutes before meals. Start with 1 teaspoon per day and gradually increase to 2. The course is 1 to 2 months with a break. Important. Apple cider vinegar must not be taken for stomach ulcers, gastritis with high acidity, or dental enamel problems. Always dilute it. Never drink it undiluted. Now let us discuss black seed oil. This remedy is well known in the East, but is often underestimated in the West. Black seed, Nigella sativa, is a plant with a 3,000-year medical history. Seeds of black seed were found in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, who died around 1,323 years before our era. Avicenna, in his famous Canon of Medicine, wrote about black seed as a remedy that cures everything except death. In Islamic medical tradition, black seed was considered one of the most important medicinal plants. In ancient Sanskrit texts, it was called the destroyer of weakness and conqueror of mountains. What does modern science say? The active substance in black seed oil is thymoquinone. In several clinical studies, thymoquinone has demonstrated pronounced anti-inflammatory and analgesic effects. A study conducted in 2012 in Jordan involving patients with rheumatoid arthritis showed that daily intake of black seed oil for 1 month significantly reduced the number of painful and swollen joints and decreased morning stiffness. The researchers concluded that black seed oil could be considered a supportive treatment alongside conventional therapy. How to take black seed oil? 1 teaspoon per day. In the morning on an empty stomach, wash down with warm water. You can also rub the oil directly into the painful joint with light massaging movements twice a day. The course of internal use is 3 months. The taste is specific and quite strong. If you dislike it, mix it with honey. Contraindications. Black seed oil is not recommended in large doses during pregnancy and when taking blood pressure medications. It lowers blood pressure itself and can create a combined effect. And the last remedy, which I promise to save for the end. This is shilajit. Shilajit is a natural resin that forms in mountain crevices through thousands of years of decomposition of plant and animal organic matter combined with mineral rock. It is harvested at altitudes of 1,000 to 3,000 meters above sea level. In the mountains of Altai, Pamir, Tian Shan, Himalayas, and the Caucasus. In Central Asia, shilajit has been used in medicine for over 3,000 years. Avicenna devoted several pages to shilajit in his Canon of Medicine and called it mountain balm, recommending it for fractures, bruises, and pain in the bones and joints. In ancient Sanskrit texts, shilajit was called the destroyer of weakness and conqueror of mountains. The composition of shilajit is incredibly complex. More than 80 biologically active substances have been identified in it, including fulvic acids, amino acids, trace elements, flavonoids, and antioxidants. Soviet medicine studied shilajit quite seriously. In the 1970s and 80s, Clinical trials of Shilajit were conducted at institutes in Tashkent, Alma-Ata, and Novosibirsk for treating fractures and joint diseases. The results showed acceleration of bone healing by an average of 20% and reduction of pain and inflammation in arthritis and arthrosis. How to take Shilajit for joints. Natural Shilajit is sold in pharmacies as tablets or dark resin. Take a piece the size of a grain of rice, approximately 200 milligrams. Dissolve it in 100 milliliters of warm water or milk with honey. Take in the morning on an empty stomach. The course is 28 days, then a 10-day break. Then you can repeat. Shilajit can also be mixed with honey in a ratio of 1:5 and rubbed into aching joints at night, wrapping with warm cloth on top. Important. Buy only verified natural Shilajit. There are many fakes and synthetic substitutes on the market. Real Shilajit dissolves completely in warm water, leaving no sediment. I have told you today about 8 remedies that people have used to treat joints for thousands of years, about turmeric, which in clinical studies outperformed diclofenac, about bay leaf, which helps remove uric acid from the joints, about gelatin as a source of collagen, the structural material for cartilage, about horseradish, which increases blood flow and reduces inflammation through the skin, about pine baths, which were used to treat rheumatism in European sanatoriums as far back as the 19th century, about apple cider vinegar, which helps remove mineral deposits, about black seed oil, confirmed in studies for rheumatoid arthritis, and about Shilajit, the mountain balm that Avicenna himself called a medicine for bones and joints. The main thing I want you to remember: joint pain is not a life sentence and not a reason to swallow pills forever that destroy your stomach and kidneys. Nature gives us tools. They work more slowly than chemicals, but they work without side effects. And they have been tested by more generations of people before us than any pharmaceutical drug. For serious diseases, see a doctor. But as support and prevention, use what I have shared with you today. Start with at least one remedy today, and make sure to watch the next video, because the next mistake makes joint pain even worse. The link will be below this video, and write in the comments which of these remedies you have already tried and what helped you personally. I read every single comment. Until next time.